Most entrepreneurs think that they're bad at sales because they can't get people to listen to them. The real reason that businesses fail to grow is that they don't know what to do when someone actually shows interest. You've been there. You know what I'm talking about. You're having a great conversation with a prospect. You're providing a ton of value. And then the prospect says those three really dangerous words. Tell me more, right? Suddenly, the energy shifts. Your palms probably get a little bit sweaty. You start thinking, okay, now what? What am I going to do? And that moment right there, that's where most sales disappear. And it's not because the person isn't interested, but because the person selling doesn't actually know how to lead. That's what we're going to talk about today. What most people do in that moment actually kills the sale. And there are two main mistakes that I see, okay? So mistake number one, this is the information dump. You get super excited. Someone's actually interested. They're paying attention to you. So you start sending paragraphs of texts or gigantic voice notes or a full breakdown of your offer, right? You're talking about every module, every bonus that you have, all the tiny details. But the information, it's not what creates a decision. And when you over-explain, the energy of the conversation, unfortunately, it just collapses. Now, mistake number two, this is what I call the polite fade. You're so afraid of sounding salesy that you avoid the decision entirely. You keep being nice. You keep giving a ton of tips, but you never actually guide the conversation anywhere. And eventually, the momentum dies and that sale disappears. When someone shows interest, you've entered what I call the decision window. And this is the small moment where someone is actively deciding, is this worth it for me? If what you're talking about, what your offer likes, is it worth it for me? And to handle this, your job is very simple. There are only three moves. Move number one, you have to confirm the problem. Before you talk about your offer, you have to actually anchor the problem again. People don't buy things. People buy solutions to problems that they actually believe are real. So you're going to want to ask something like, so just to make sure that I understand, you've been trying to launch this for a while, but you're not really sure what the actual offer should be yet. Is that right? Then you pause and you let them say yes. Now their brain is locked back onto the problem and your solution becomes relevant. The problem that I see so many times, so many salespeople are uncomfortable with uncomfortable silence. Ask them a question and stop talking. Let them answer the question. They need to lock their brain on the fact that they have a problem and you have the solution. So think about it like this, okay? You walk into a gym and you tell a trainer, I really want abs. And the trainer immediately hands you like a protein shake, right? And says, go over there and do 200 kettlebell swings. And you'd look at them like they were insane. Of course you would. They skipped the most important step. They never confirmed what your actual issue was. What was your problem? Are you working out properly? Or are you working out but you're not eating properly? You can't out-train a bad diet, right? Do you sit at a desk for 10 hours a day? Is that the issue? Now, a good trainer, they would say, so to make sure that I've got this right and I understand, you've been training hard, but your midsection just isn't changing. Is that it? Is that the issue? Once you say yes to that, the trainer actually understands the situation. And sales work the exact same way. Now, move number two, you have to explain the outcome. This is where so many people mess up. They start explaining what they built, the offer, but your buyers don't care about that yet. They care about what changes for them. What's the outcome for me as a buyer of your offer? And instead of listing features, you got to say something like, what we focus on first is helping you get absolute clarity on what you should actually sell. Once that's clear, everything else gets easier. Notice I didn't talk about modules. I didn't talk about PDFs. I mentioned the outcome. So let's go back to the trainer scenario. A bad trainer explains the workout. So we're going to do planks. We're going to do some leg raises, etc. A good trainer, they explain the outcome, right? The reason you aren't seeing abs isn't the workout. It's that your nutrition and your core engagement aren't lined up. They're not synced. Once those click, the results will happen fast. Now, you're not thinking about the exercises. You're thinking about, this is actually fixable. This is doable. I can see the outcome. Okay. Now, move number 3. You have to show the path and you have to ask the decision question. So many people are so terrified to ask the decision question. I like to say, go for the no. You need to go for the no because you have to find out what the decision is going to be regardless. Now, you give them a simple picture of the journey, right? And ask, does that fit? You say, like, the first thing we'd like to do together is map out your offer, let's say. Then we're going to build the structure around it so that you're not guessing anymore. Does that sound like the path that you're looking for? That's it. It's very short. It's very clear. It's very concise. It's really easy for your buyer to visualize that outcome. And once someone can see the path, the decision becomes really, really easy. Sales is not about convincing people or forcing them into a corner. That's where the term, shady car salesman came into play many, many, many moons ago. And I'm not saying that car people are shady, but that's where that came from, because you're not trying to actually convince someone or back them into a corner. Sales is about helping someone understand what their current situation actually is, what's actually possible for them, and then you bridge the gap between those 2 points. You're not forcing a decision. You're removing all of the confusion that your buyer has. And when the confusion is gone, when that disappears, people will buy. And the entrepreneurs who struggle the longest are waiting for buyers to magically decide to pay them. The ones who actually build real businesses are the ones who learn how to guide their buyers into that decision moment. So this week, here's a little task for you. When someone says, tell me more, or how does that work? Remember that you're in the decision window. Don't start dumping information and don't just be polite. You want to confirm the problem. You definitely need to explain the outcome, and then you have to show them the path. You're bridging the gap. If you can guide someone through these 3 moments, sales stop feeling awkward and they start feeling like leadership. So please stop waiting for sales to happen and go out and create them.